There is an emergency in Alberta, and this fire truck is leading the response. The first in a convoy to Parliament Hill.
We're gonna have a few hundred trucks coming out of Alberta. People are gonna join. They're gonna go as far as they can.
You're pretty motivated to do this.
Oh, we're very motivated. Yeah, we're gonna keep trucking. We're gonna get down there.
Glenn Carrott's oil field fire protection business is hurting. He's watched others go bust. So his protest message is straightforward.
We just believe that Canadians are not happy with the current government, and we need them to listen to what's going on with our oil and gas sector.
The convoy is part of the larger Canadian Yellow Vest movement. Every weekend in communities across Canada, there are protests like this, even in minus 30, those so committed to their cause.
What are the things you want to be heard on?
We need a government who champions our resources. It's just that simple. I mean, we're such a rich province.
This is a federal government that has bought a pipeline that says that pipeline will be built.
I don't believe it. We don't believe it. I mean, we don't believe our provincial government either. We don't believe it. We think it was bought to park it, and it's absolutely heartbreaking, all the people that have lost their jobs.
Most of the people here are on board with Glenn and his convoy, but what they're concerned about varies widely. Messages over oil and the carbon tax are here, but immigration and the United Nations also dominate the conversation.
My father was an immigrant, as well as my grandfathers. They came here to this country, and you know what they did? They earned their way through living. It wasn't a handout, and that's what it is now.
Yellow vest means different things to different people. What does it mean for you? What are the core messages?
Well, I just think we need to take care of our Canadian citizens first. We need to have secure borders because, as Donald Trump says, you know, without a safe border, you have no country.
Some people will look at a thing like this, they'll see it on TV, and they'll say, well, you're just a racist. You're just against migration.
Well, I think that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. I'm not a racist.
They won't show any of this. They told this last time they were here. They never put an interview on the air that they did.
You guys are biased, right? You're paid by the government, which is actually our tax dollars, and it's totally wrong.
Lots of distrust, whether about the media or those coming into Canada.
Some people are concerned about immigration. Some people are concerned about Muslims in Canada. What do those issues do for you as a broader movement?
They're important. They're important, and they're to some more than others. But they are a distraction for, I think, for the message that we're trying to get out to Canada, that we need the oil light. We need pipelines.
Would you rather not have those other distractions?
They're entitled to stand here just as much as I am.
But those mixed messages risk derailing the convoy's focus on oil and the economy. And has some questioning who else the movement attracts. People like Ty Hunt, president of the Canadian Infidels, otherwise known as the Klan.
Where do the infidels fit in the Yellow Vest movement?
We, as a group, were Yellow Vest before Yellow Vest was a movement.
He's been showing up at rallies, too. But the Klan's affiliation with alt-right groups, their provocative messages about Islam, and headlines about a recent unannounced visit to a local mosque have drawn negative attention to a movement that is desperate to be taken seriously.
We're not looking for any sort of spotlight with the Yellow Vest movement. We're hoping that it kind of develops in its own with the convoy and everything like that. What we want to do is try and add to it, which is take the risks, going and trying to make contact with mosques.
Why is still unclear. They say to have a better understanding, but also to protect the Canada they want.
I'm not trying to push anything. I'm just trying to support safe and secure borders. That's it.
There are some Yellow Vest groups out there who say they don't want you at their rallies.
I haven't heard any Yellow Vesters, but if there is any, it's because of what the mainstream media has put out there.
You don't think you're being fairly represented?
No, absolutely not.
So, are Ty and the Canadian Infidels part of the Yellow Vest movement? Depends who you ask.
Regardless of race or faith, we're all created equal.
Just hours earlier at another Yellow Vest rally, a group which says they stand against racism listens from the sidelines. They've challenged the Yellow Vesters here to publicly denounce what they call hate groups among them. That includes members of the alt-right group C3, the Canadian Combat Coalition, and the Infidels, who are a no-show today. There is no denouncement.
We're not far left, we're not far right. We're Canadians and we're holding all governments responsible, whether you're conservative, liberal, or NDP, we want to hold all accountable to Canadian people.
Along with the protests, dozens of Yellow Vest groups have also popped up online, some distancing themselves from the rhetoric they don't agree with, like the messaging found here on Canada's largest Yellow Vest Facebook site. More than 100,000 members see messages like this, targeting Trudeau, the media, immigration, and refugees. The site was founded by Tyler Mélenchon, since exposed for supporting racist rhetoric in the past, though he chose not to talk to us about it now.
So these are some of the things that we see there. You know, we owe illegals nothing. We owe our veterans everything. Are you surprised that this exists in Canada?
No, I'm not.
Reza Hazmath is a political science professor at the University of Alberta.
Like, there's a lot of noise around immigration. There's a lot of noise about things that have very little to do with their core message. And the core message is, look, they're losing their jobs. They feel like politicians, both at the federal level and the provincial level, are not listening to them.
These are legitimate kind of concerns.
Of course.
Yeah.
But the danger at hand is when you start talking about immigration, you start talking about, well, it's because of immigrants coming in. If we actually see immigrants to Canada in the short term, medium term, and the long term, they contribute back to our economy much more than the assistance that we provide to them. And this is documented time and again in academic studies.
What are you saying?
For Reza, the federal government needs to start paying attention to the economic issues that he says are underlying people's anger.
And I think that's where we need greater leadership from all politicians, both at the provincial and federal level, to actually address this, not only in Alberta, but across Canada.
It's all left Glenn in a bit of a pickle. The desire to make the movement a big tent is watering down his own message around pipelines and the carbon tax.
Yeah, what does that do to your message?
Well, I think it's the radicals and the people that are making it, blowing it out of proportion, making the good Yellow Vest people look bad. And it is a problem, but that's not what the real Yellow Vest movement stands for.
You're rolling your trucks right up to Parliament Hill.
Yeah.
Whose office do you want to knock on?
Well, you know what? I'd love to be able to knock on Mr. Trudeau's door.
And what would you say to him?
I'd say you need to get in touch with Canadians.
Build the park! Build the park!
Glenn says anyone with a grievance is welcome to join in. There's sure to be a lot of messages rolling up at Parliament that day. Who will be there to speak and to listen is the question. David Common, CBC News, Red Deer, Alberta.